Today I am using some shrink plastic, and what I have done is I've die cut the words love you. This is obviously just the U, it's hard to see it, and I'm going to put them in a zip top type bag. And in order to give these a little color, I'm just going to drop some Copic re-inker into my bag. This is R29. If you have aversions to getting your hands dirty, wear gloves. As you can see, I've been doing this a little bit this morning. Just seal that up and just kind of squish it around. You may have to put a few generations of the Copic in. This bag's got quite a bit in it. And since I've used it more than once, it's hard to see through it, obviously. Regardless of what media you use to color your shrink plastic, I do want to tell you that as a general rule, it's going to dry darker than what you see. I am going to be shrinking these down in an oven that is meant for polymer clay. It only goes up to 300 degrees, and most shrink plastics, the manufacturer recommendation is 330 degrees. So it doesn't matter. This little oven of mine will work just fine. I just have to leave them in a little bit longer. If you hear a little bit of a clicking in the background, that's the oven. It is preheated. I have this little tray on top of my little oven, so it's too hot to actually handle. Just going to put these in here and put these in the oven. It'll take them 2 to 3 minutes maybe. Now that I've corrected the die cut, in this case die cut out of shrink plastic once again, I'm going to decide where on my project I'm going to put it that is filled with wood glue. This particular wood glue is something I bought online to try. However, it works really well, especially when you're like laying 2 different types of materials, trying to get them to get along. We're going to set this aside and let it dry. To make the hot cocoa pouch, you're going to need some cardstock. The first one is going to measure 9 7/8 by 5 1/2. So it's basically the same width anyway as an A2 card. Save your scraps. These are actually really nice size scraps for something else or to decorate the remainder of your project. You don't need some fancy scoreboard for this. You're going to score this at 4. So we're going to fold on our score lines. It just makes them easier to see. So we're going to bring our paper trimmer back in and measure it at 1 3/4. This blade has a line in it right there. We're going to start it at one crease and come all the way over to the other. You can really feel it, honestly. Now we're going to turn the paper and do the same thing. 1 3/4 once again. Start on one end and bring it over. So this is pretty easy to do. We're just going to push that up with our fingers so that it basically forms the slot, in this case for the spoon and the marshmallows, it for this treat. You're going to see that it actually has a little bit of a lip here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use some regular glossy accents and glue this down. And the reason is it's just going to fold flatter later. If you want, you can use some clothespins or something to hold this in place for a moment or two. So we're going to concentrate on, this is the back now, and this is the front. This right here measures 4 by 5.5. So we're going to decorate our cover. The first layering piece is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Today, I'm going to be using this Be My Valentine from Echo Park, and it is going to measure 3.5 by 5. I will insert the footage of the stamping and coloring of this image. This is stamped in color. We're going to go ahead and use our paper trimmer. You can also use a die for this if you want a more of a decorative edge. You can always use a die. If you ever need to layer something and you don't want to measure it, this is how you're going to do it. This is just a scrap. I'm going to go on and tape my image to this cardstock that I'm going to use as my layering piece. And I'm going to line it up on 2 sides, in this case the side and the bottom, and eyeball it for about 1/8 of an inch. Now we're going to take it to our trimmer and trim it up. Between this piece of the trimmer and the groove where the blade goes is 1/8 of an inch for anybody who ever wants to know that information. I have a Valentine's theme sticker sheet from Doodlebug Designs that I'm going to be using on this project. First, we're going to tape our image down. And I'm going to put it towards the right since I am going to be putting the Love You on here. These stickers have been handled quite a bit. So I'm just going to put a little drop of this glue. On my little heart, so I'm pretty darn well certain this isn't going to go anywhere. Okay, so that's done. Once again, to put this on the front Actually, we're going to wait. Sorry, my bad. Before we glue that down, I have some test tubes. I'm going to go put some gloves on and fill these with some marshmallows. These are the marshmallows I use. As you can see, they are tiny. They do grow up, so to speak, and become quite large in your hot cocoa because the moisture reabsorbs. Anyway, you get the point. To attach your hot cocoa packet into your treat, you're just going to put this into the back. As you can see, this came up a little bit. It's fine. It'll lay back down flat here in just a moment. You could even put a gift card or something on this side if you want it. Okay, so far so good. Almost done. This is where you can put in a spoon if you'd like. These are individually wrapped wooden spoons. I actually purchased these from a junk store. They don't expire, and the fact that they're wrapped is going to make them just fine, and this is more for looks anyway. And you're just going to slide that spoon right behind that marshmallows. Works great. I mean, it really, really does. So now, finish this off. Even though my prototype has 2 hot cocoa packages in it, this one is only going to have 1. If you're afraid these are going to slip or slide, you can always just attach them just like that with some clips. And then once again, when they're dry, it's going to look like this. I did finish the back of this one just because it was my prototype. The back was really kind of messy from glue and stuff on my desk. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share my videos on your social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stamp happy and be a bossing. Bye for now.